This is what you hear in soap operas or someone who says this in hairdressers. It's total drama.
Today I'm joined by a super inspiring woman, Michelle Agbulos. Michelle is the author of her own book called Shine Baby Shine. So while your husband was married to you, he then had an affair and then married another woman.
I realised I was totally lost and I needed help.
Yeah.
I was a new mother. My daughter was 6 months old when it happened. My confidence, if we're talking confidence,
Yeah.
I didn't have any. Taking care of my mental health is one big thing for self-love. If I'm going to write a book, I don't want it to be about me being a victim. I just find purpose in helping others.
Yeah.
I used mindfulness and meditation to gain back the confidence and to trust myself. We can find out what's happening in our inner. I said it to my clients, you are limitless.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jane Leonard. I'm a GP and cosmetic doctor, and this is my podcast, The Confidence Clinic. Every week, I'm going to be sitting down with different guests to talk about their life stories. We're going to be talking about how they got to where they got, the challenges they faced along the way, and how their confidence has evolved along their journeys. Hi guys, welcome to the Confidence Clinic. Today I'm joined by a super inspiring woman, Michelle Agbulos. Michelle is the author of her own book called Shine Baby Shine. The book was born out of her own journey of recovering, rebuilding and regaining her own confidence after a toxic codependent relationship. The book's not only about her story, it's also about the skills that she developed along the way as she was healing, and is also a perfect reference for other people or other women going through the same thing. Michelle also works as a confidence coach herself and a mindfulness coach. So welcome, Michelle. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me.
No problem. So there's loads to cover. So I think a good way to start is probably to rewind back and talk about how it all happened. What happened to you that's led to the book? Big question.
Oh, well, yes, big one to start with, but in 2014, I discovered my husband had committed bigamy. My world turned upside down. As you can imagine, something like this in the country is very rare.
Yeah.
So when I discovered that, I felt humiliated. I was gutted. I went through betrayal. I was so shame. I felt everything in my mental health just went down to smithereens. I felt like I was nothing. I was worthless. Yeah. And I wondered why it happened to me.
Yeah.
And that really shatters your confidence.
Yeah, of course.
As a woman. Anyone who goes through heartbreak,
yeah,
likes to recover privately. However, I didn't get that opportunity.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be clear, so with bigamy, can you explain exactly what that exactly is?
Bigamy is someone who's married somebody else when legally married to another. And I was his legal wife, just to be.
So while your husband was married to you, he then had an affair and then married another woman. So this is basically all came out in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I say understandably, I couldn't even start to understand what you've gone through, but those emotions that you describe of like the heartbreak, I mean, how do you even let something like that sink in? What emotions did you go through?
Emotions, I think, went to chaos. I fell into survival mode, I think, at first. I didn't know what I was feeling. I was overwhelmed with everyday life.
Yeah.
I was a new mother. My daughter was 6 months old when it happened. So as any new parent can understand, that's a hardship in its own to begin with. But I just remembered I just didn't know how to do it on my own. He was like the breadwinner. He was the one who controlled everything in my life. He was everything.
Yeah.
He made it that way.
Yeah.
So I kind of lost my identity too. I didn't know who I was. It made me not judge my judgment and the capability to make decisions. My confidence, I just felt, I didn't have any.
Yeah.
I just relied on this person for everything. And now I was on my own with a 6-month-old daughter.
couldn't even comprehend that, Michelle. Like, I mean, she's a proper baby, 6 months old. I mean, and it's your first baby, right?
That's right.
Let's just talk about, how did you find out? How did it all come out in the open?
My best friend called me one day, so she had something to tell me. She covered up me coming over, saying she had an argument with her boyfriend, so she could get me over.
Right.
And I remember arriving there with Amelia, who was just 6 months old at the time, and she said, "I need to take you to the other room." And she just took me down to the other room, sat me down, took my hands, and said, "I've got something to tell you. It's going to change your life." And I just looked at her and I went, "Andrew's living a double life." And for that moment, I think I stopped breathing.
Oh my
I
God.
wasn't even processing what was coming out of her mouth. But it was like a domino effect, like everything kind of, all the puzzles fit, all the lies, or the lies had told me, the way he lived his life and the stories he told me, it all made sense.
Right.
And the first thing I thought was, he fucking played me. How did I let this happen? Why did I not see this? But really, if I was really honest with myself, all the red flags were there.
So did you have an idea at any point?
Do you know what? I knew something wasn't right, but he was my husband.
Yeah.
And I was brought up a Roman Catholic.
Of course,
I'm a good girl. I believe in marriage. I believe what it stands for. And you believe your husband, and because he's meant to take care of you. I mean, I guess I like to see the good in people. I've always have. And he was the man I love. He's the man I married. I didn't believe he would do that to me, and I didn't think any less of him. But yes, I found out, and I literally, when I found out, I just went into survival mode. It's all I can explain the emotion I went through. And I left my friend's house, took my daughter, got in the car. God knows how I even drove home without crashing it. And when I reached home, I started to pack.
Was he at home? No, we mustn't.
No. At this stage, I believe he was away on his honeymoon.
No.
First anniversary honeymoon, yes. And
what? So the first anniversary of his wedding with the other woman.
Yes.
So when you found out the news of, I was going to say cheating. This is beyond cheating. This is obviously a complete betrayal, double lives. But you found this out while he was away with his other wife.
Mm-hmm. And
oh my God, Michelle.
So I didn't even know. All I could think was, this is the man. I don't know who the man is. I didn't feel safe anymore. The strange thing is, the person who put fear in, the fear I had was the person who put fear into me, and that was him. You know. So I started packing my bags, and I'm thinking, because I just wanted to get out of our home. He paid for us to rent. Basically, he was hiding me away in, and I didn't know where to go. I just thought I just had to leave here. But then I stopped and I thought, no, you need to get help. You need to get professional advice on what to do next. Because I really knew he committed a crime. He broke the law. I mean, what do I do with this information? I mean, this doesn't happen to me. I don't like drama in my life. Yeah. Now it's all there was total drama. And this is what you hear in soap operas, or someone who says this in hairdressers, not like me, not little me, you know. So I rang a friend who advised me to get a lawyer, and then the lawyer advised me to then go to the police to turn him in.
God, I mean, I can't even get my head around all those turn events, never mind you actually living it. I suppose when your friend was telling you and she was delivering this news, did you, I mean, there mustn't have been, you didn't know why you were going there. You thought you were going there because she was having a difficult time. Mm-hmm. How did you process it so that when that information was essentially dropped on you, that you believed it? You know, I'm not saying that you wouldn't believe, but you know, so you'd have to kind of go, I woke up this morning on a normal day, and now by the time it's this day, my life has literally done a 360. How, you know, for you to have that kind of moment of clarity to kind of go, hang on, I need to take advice and guidance and not acting out of emotion. First of all, it's really amazing that you've done that. And I suppose it's letting all that information penetrate and get into your to brain to think clearly. So what were the next steps then after that? So how did the police, how did it work with them? How did they catch him, I suppose?
Well, after I was advised for my lawyer to turn him in, I remember getting dressed, walked into that police station in Wimbledon. It was this young lad who was just behind the counter. And I thought, I can't believe I'm actually going to say this to him. That was the first thing. And I just said, hi, my name's Michelle, and my husband's committed a crime. He's married another woman while legally be married to me. And to believe me, I don't think he processed it at first either. He probably thought, were you for real?
Yeah.
I mean, I was dressed in a nice dress with my Chanel bag, and I was literally walking in. He's thinking, you don't look crazy, so let's just check this out. So from the moment I told the police, it happened very, very quickly, and they confirmed that he actually committed a crime very fast.
Because they could find the legal documents.
Yes, they needed to check it out and find that he forged the divorce papers, and that he had to marry somebody else while still legally being married to me.
So in order for him to be able to marry the other woman, he had to show documentation that the marriage with you was over.
Absolutely.
And he had essentially forged that.
Correct.
And how did he do that then?
I have no idea. But he managed it, and he got married anyways.
Yeah. So did he forge your signature, do you think? He must have done.
Yes. I mean, I remember him asking me he needed my signature for some reason, for work or something. Of course, I happily did it. I don't question my husband. At this point, I fully trust him. So I did. So, yeah, I believe he's done it that way. Yeah.
So this was 9 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And the emotions you describe, I think, even just hearing them and getting my head around it, it must have just been like the epitome of an emotional roller coaster from day one. I mean, back then, we talk about impacts of events, life-changing moments having an effect on our mental health. And I can only imagine, like I say, how you must have felt. What were you feeling then inside, like from the point of view from your mental health during this process or this journey?
Well,
from the start, when all this was happening.
Well, I definitely went through survival mode. And when I say survival mode, it was like I was doing things so that I didn't feel the pain.
Yeah.
So I was smoking. I was a heavy smoker.
Were you?
Yes, I smoked because it gave me an hour out of work to just Band-Aid and smoke and not think about the pain. I wanted to drown and numb the pain. I didn't want to feel what I was feeling. And I got affection from places I'm not very happy that I did, but I did because I wanted to feel validated. I wanted to feel love, and that was what was missing out in my life. I didn't feel loved, and the most importantly, I didn't love myself, and I felt very angry and with myself mostly, even though none of this was my fault. Anger was the worst thing, and that was the point when I realised I was totally lost and I needed help.
Yeah.
Because my confidence, we're talking confidence, I didn't have any. I was very good at hiding it. I was good at hiding my pain. I mean, I was an actress, so I got paid for it. I was very good. So no one actually knew that what I was going through, because he told me not to tell anybody. He isolated me.
So was this before you found out, like problems during your marriage beforehand, that he kind of, again, going back to toxic codependency, which all this is born from?
Yes.
So he was really sort of suffocating you well within the marriage before the truth came out?
Oh, traits of a narcissist, if you want to say. He was controlling, he gaslighted me, he manipulated me, he lied, he cheated, he made me feel really small. I mean, I wasn't allowed to tell my family and friends what I was going through, or that he was in witness protection. That was the story he had given me, that he had to go into witness protection because his company is involved with a fraud investigation.
So that was his excuse for the double life. So when he wasn't around...
He was at the safe house.
Oh my, I didn't realise that.
Uh-huh. So I was fearing
And then
for my
you
life.
kept that away from your because
Yeah.
you probably felt, I don't know, embarrassed or and concerned about him.
Yes, of course, for his safety and for my safety. That's what he told me. And at the time, we were trying for a baby. So he only could get to visit me 2 hours of the day. So when he did, he came in and we had some dinner, we had normal conversation. I would ask him every day, what they're doing, what they're going to do about this. I mean, when are you going to come out? I have this, and he would say to me, "You just need to understand. If you love me, you need to just understand." So it was almost he got angry if I asked more, and I pushed him.
So you're only seeing your husband at that time when you're wanting to try for a baby 2 hours a day, and the rest of the time he was away at his safe house.
Yes,
And how long was that going on for?
I was safe about 18 months
Right.
because I also within that time I found out I was pregnant.
Right. Gosh. So just kind of wrapping up like this chapter of what the story. So he went to prison.
Mm-hmm.
And during this time, I think it's important to mention that you've got your gorgeous daughter Amelia. Like you said, she's 6 months old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are you dealing with all this on a personal level, you're also thrown into being a single mum.
Oh.
You've also got her best interests at heart and trying to kind of carve out a perfect start for her life in all of this drama and emotion and stress and distress and every emotion you could possibly imagine. I mean, massive question again. How did you cope with that?
I don't think I was, if I'm really honest with you. But there was a time when the divorce was finalised. I remember going to work and sitting at my desk and I couldn't breathe. I felt suffocated all of a sudden and I was short of breath and I thought, hang on, let me just go outside. And I went outside to get some more air and I realised I was having a panic attack.
Yeah.
And I think it just all got to me by that point. And that was a turning point. I remember calling my friend and I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I'm having a panic attack and I don't know what to do. I feel really, really scared. And she just went, Michelle, maybe it's time you start to heal yourself.
Right.
And I was like, yeah. It's just, you haven't even stopped to think about you. I've been so much going through all the divorce proceedings and trying to survive as a single mother, working full time.
Oh my God.
And that's when I decided, you know what, I need to sort myself up. I need to pull it together. I need to put my shit together because I've got a little girl who needs me more than anything.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Amelia, I don't know where I'd be today.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So things got that bad that you...
I went to a dark place, Jane. Dark place.
So, I mean, first off, what an amazing job you've done, though. I mean, Amelia, she's like an amazing young woman, isn't she? Like, she's kind of stands next to you, holds her head up high. So whatever went on then, like you describe it as that chaos when you're in survival mode, it's a real credit to you of your bravery and courage to hold her hand through it, and she's becoming the young woman that she is now. What advice would you, I mean, I'm kind of jumping the gun a bit here, but it's just in my thoughts now talking to you so clearly about it. Looking at the Michelle sat before me now and the Michelle then 9 years ago, is there any snippets of advice? I mean, we're going to cover the book and talk about, you know, the process you've been through, but just at that sort of moment when you look back at the raw emotion that you were going through, what would you say to yourself then now?
Forgive yourself, Michelle. You did the best you could. And you are not your past. This doesn't define you.
Yeah. Also, a lot of this, I think it's really important to say that, you know, you talk about in your book about feelings of shame and guilt, and sometimes that's a process that you inevitably go through. But I think it's really important to keep revisiting the fact that you knew nothing about this. You, even regardless of the crime that he committed, he was still treating you terribly within the relationship. Like you say, he's got narcissistic tendencies. You were in a relationship that was a really toxic, codependent situation from start to finish, gaslighting you, affecting your mental health. So all that baseline where you came from, and then this massive kind of, well, literally your world being flipped upside down, it's really amazing to talk into part 2 almost. We had to cover that bit to talk about the good bit now. Coming to the good bit, which the book's about, which is an amazing credit to you. And I'm in the process of reading it now, and I can honestly say that the way that you've managed to shift all the emotion, the negative isn't even strong enough word, but like being at rock bottom and beyond, to now carving out a new career, rebuilding your life, rebuilding your confidence, rebuilding your identity, and above all of that, using your story as inspiration to essentially hold other women's hands who are going through a similar thing. And it doesn't have to be a similar thing relationship wise. Anybody that has doubt in their self-worth needs to build on their self-love and about caring for themselves in general. So part 2, where do we start with that?
Well, when I wrote this book, it was actually part of a healing journey for me.
Yeah.
It took me actually a long time to say, I'm going to write a book. People saying, you should write a book. And I was like, do you know what? If I'm going to write a book, I don't want it to be about me being a victim. I want it to be about someone who went through a shit life-changing event, but rised up from it.
Yeah.
Because I want my daughters to know that I'm a strong mama, and I want her to look up to me and be inspired. So I wrote this book as part of healing to sort of like, for me to write it down on paper and to get me through a journey, but also for my daughter, so that she can look back and go, she understand what her mama went through. I mean, she's 9. I mean, I can only explain to a 9-year-old how a 9-year-old would understand that her daddy broke the rules, you know.
Yeah. Is that what you say to her?
Yes, I say, daddy broke the rules. And she will go, what do you mean by that? He broke the law. He married 2 women and he shouldn't have. And that's as much as she can process for a 9-year-old.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. And so that was another reason. But I also, through my journey, healing journey, I wanted to help other women, like you said, who don't feel they're enough, who have low self-esteem, and they find worth in other people and situations than themselves. And it's just really it comes down to self-love. Yeah. And that's what my book is about. It's reclaiming your self-worth and heal from codependency. Yeah. And it's based on my mindfulness method, Shine. Now, mindfulness was a big part of my healing journey. Now, it worked for me. Through all the chaos I was going through and the numbing pain that I was feeling, I didn't know how to process it or how to heal that. So one day I heard that meditation was really, really good. So I tried it, and you know what? I didn't know if I was doing it right or wrong.
Yeah, it's hard to do. I can't do it.
Yes.
I've done it once out of 100 attempts.
But what I noticed is it don't make me think about what was happening to me, all the pain, for 5 minutes. And I did that, kept doing it. I was really committed to it, and I did that every day. And slowly, it gave me something that found peace within me. It also found clarity in what I was feeling in a safe way. So this is why I used mindfulness and meditation and other self-awareness exercises, so that as a woman, we can find out what's happening in our inner place, then, as well as to then reflect, look back and heal ourselves. Yeah.
I think that is often one of the hardest parts, isn't it? Whenever anyone is going through something, that often we want to, like you say, escapism's a thing, isn't it? Numb out the pain, block that out, and that can be with anything. Like you say, smoking, making bad decisions, doing things, drugs, alcohol, etc. And it's common. It's almost like the footsteps that follows, because you don't want to sit with yourself. Sitting down and feeling the pain is hard. You don't want to. You'll do anything to avoid it. And I think that's one of the good things in your book. That's really saying, like, unless you can keep putting it off, but it's never going to move forward unless we address the actual wounds that are there and open and help them heal. And I think meditation, like you say, is allowing your body and mind to escape from the noise that's in your head, because consciously all these thoughts, it must be absolute chocker in your brain, all these different thoughts constantly firing off. And that's not only processing the event you've been through, but also looking after yourself and also your daughter. So your brain to find clarity in order to home in on where the damage lies and start to heal and rebuild. And I think it's a really good point about going to the basis. That is the main starting point.
So in my book, I have 5 methods. So one's called Slow Down Babes. And basically, we start where they are. So we start to slow everything down through being mindful and through meditation. So that, because when you're living in chaos, you have anxiety, you have stress. So this first start of place to just calm it all down. And then my second method is happiness as a choice. So then we look at gratitude and to actually appreciate what is in our life right now. Because when you suffer from low self-worth, you think you're nothing. You don't think you have anything good in your life. So we have a look and see what is great right now. It may be small, but it's small steps. On the third one is I'm doing me. And this is really fun because you get to date yourself. Because you get to date yourself and actually look at your identity. Because when you've been in a toxic relationship, you kind of lose yourself to that relationship.
Yeah.
So this would then now would get you to look at what you love and get to spend some time on you and planning it in. The fourth one is,
that.
I know, I love that one. That's one of my favourites actually. And then the fourth one is nurturing support for my squad. Now we look at then at what kind of support you have as your friends, your family. Some people may not have any, so they may have to look further into like my community or like getting help, like a refuge charity, just to know they've got the right people around them.
Yes.
Because
so important, Michelle.
It's so important because sometimes when you go through a journey, you will learn that some people in your life are actually not putting any value into your life. And so then, and then you have to set boundaries. And it's also standard in what type of people to go to in your tribe, because you might have a friend who's really, really strong at, having fun, but you've got another good friend who's actually good at giving advice and actually listens.
Yes.
And that's nothing wrong, because that's why you have so many different friends. It's just know who to go to, because some people struggle with their mental health of their own. You don't know that. May not be able to take the pressure of your weight of your pain. It's not they don't care, they just can't handle it, and it might trigger them as well. And then the last one is embracing your fabulous future self, and that is embracing where you are, the journey you're doing, and the person or the woman you want to become. So those are my 5 steps. So the book is about actually just starting to get the first steps to get your life back on track.
Yeah.
And I guess the ultimate goal is to generally start feeling good.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. I think when I'm reading the book and in those 5 pillars, it really resonates with me. I can see your thought process through it. It's doing things gradually. And when you're overwhelmed by things, it's not pushing yourself too hard to go, right now, get on with it. It's actually understanding it is a process. The power is in the process. Taking that time, doing that, reflect yourself and rebuilding yourself. You can't go from one extreme to the other. Going back actually to your own specific journey, what you've gone through, and not only what you've gone through, but also the effects on your mental health. Have you had any professional help in the sense of counselling, talking therapies, anything like that?
Do you know what? I had through the pandemic, I realised I had some trauma I couldn't deal on my own. So yeah, I did get a coach and I was fully committed. And at this point I said, I really need to find out, delve deep and find out why I still feel this way. So I did. I got a coach. I mean, every coach I think if you ask them has had a coach, they've been coached.
Oh,
so I still had, it was a shame. I couldn't deal with the shame. It was really, really difficult. And shame is quite an interesting emotion as well. It's like, didn't really. I just couldn't still believe it happened to me, and I felt I needed help on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that in a way, because hearing you say that you felt shameful of what had happened that was inflicted on you, because that would never be a thought that I would think, because I'd almost feel like, you know, it's shame that it's happened to you. So when you say coach, actually, are you talking about like a sort of like a life coach, or is it more through counselling, like a therapist, like a psychologist?
My coach was a life coach, and I was very dedicated to it. So she was very spiritual. So I went for a spiritual journey, and I loved it. I mean, I could resonate with it, and it just gave me a really safe place to process it. And I learned a lot about self-compassion and being my own best friend. And truly, that is what self-love is all about, is truly accepting all the bad things and the great things about yourself. And that to forgiveness is a big thing. Forgive yourself for it. And, you know, it doesn't define you. Just move on.
Yeah.
I
think, Michelle, the interesting thing as well in this is often through doing these podcasts myself and listening to others to build up my awareness, a lot of the words that we use, the thing I found challenging was actually how do you put words like self-love, self-belief into actual practice, actually to build them. And I've said a couple of times about self-confidence and self-belief, how I've developed mine is by keeping promises to myself. So if I'm going to say I'm going to do something, I do it, even when the option of not doing it is easier. So that over time I'm developing evidence that I have done these things, I follow them through, they have worked out, or even if they haven't worked out, I've learned something from it, or it's redirected me into a path that's more suitable or better for me, or whatever the outcome is. But for things like self-love, and it's not one thing that I say I haven't focused on. It's been more other things for me related to probably self-belief and overcoming self-doubt. What steps have you taken to build your self-love?
By taking care of my mental health is one big thing for self-love. Also to gain back the confidence and to trust myself. Trust is a good one. I didn't trust myself for a long time, and that I could move on, that life would get better. And it's acceptance of, I'll go back to get again, of who you are.
Yeah.
And to love every part about yourself. And just find purpose, I think, in helping others.
Yeah.
So you're giving that love back to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think solitude is very good. I think people who have time for themselves really get to know yourself.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing.
Well, I love what you're saying in that book about learning to date yourself, finding out who you are, what you like doing. Because when you've been in a relationship like that, and I think we said before, you were in it for 14 years. Is that right? You were married for 6, but together for 14.
Yes, correct.
And during that time, your identity is lost to your partner, to your narcissistic partner, but also to the toxic codependent relationship that you're in. So not only have you got 14 years to kind of reflect on within that relationship, but it's finding yourself in the mix of all of that.
Oh, absolutely. And in that part, you rediscover your passions. And I remember the moment I thought, hang on, I'm not doing what I'm doing. It was that Amelia and I were dancing on a table and to a song. And I was like, yes, she was bouncing, I was bouncing. I thought, and at the end of it, I thought, I was a dancer. I really love dancing. I'm like, why don't I dance anymore? And I just I thought, do you know what? I'm going to find a studio. And I found one in my little village where I live, a contemporary class. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to book myself in that. And I'm going to go next Wednesday night. And I did. And first of all walked in and there was a bunch of 21-year-olds and I thought to myself, what are you doing, Michelle? But you know what? I showed up for myself.
Exactly.
I showed up for myself and I said, you know what? Whatever happens, Michelle, just have fun. And that's exactly what I did. I just danced. She got us on a roll on the floor rolling. I mean, if you've ever seen that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, well, I can't remember her name again. The mother, she starts dancing. She wants to prove that she's still dancing. And then at the end of the day, she slams the door and she goes, oh, that was me. I just wanted to prove that I could still do it. But it wasn't just that. I found things out of my comfort zone. And again, was building up my confidence.
Exactly.
So, and I believe that everyone should get out of the confidence zone. I mean, because you'll find that when you go out your comfort zone, you find things and the magic is there that you never thought you could actually do. So I always believe that, and I said it to my clients, that you are limitless. I mean, I even jumped out of a plane for mental health, and I didn't think I did that, and I found that liberating. I think I actually scared the guy.
You've done so many things.
That guy actually said to me, he was a bit scared because he says, you don't look scared at all. I said, no, I'm really enjoying it. I think he was like, are you okay today? Like, I was checking like if I was actually okay.
Was like, I don't get. But that just shows how far you've come, because obviously it's in that even people who were probably like, you know, really cocky, like, yeah, I can do it, naturally would feel slightly apprehensive jumping out of a plane. But for what you've been through, clearly, like, well, nothing else can get any worse than what you've been through.
Oh, absolutely, Jane. I think I can get through anything. And that's what I keep saying to myself, even now, when I try out new things. I said, Michelle, you've gone through more crap than this. You can do this. And yeah, so the book was great. It's doing well. I've getting really good response from it. The clients who also who's in the book, who did my methods, have learnt that to heal from their codependent behaviours and give them more time for themselves. These are mamas. I mean, one mama said to me, "Oh, my me time was just watching the washing machine going round and round for an hour because it just numbs everything." And I said, oh no, we need to do something about that.
Oh, God.
And she was just like, and then she just found like learning to do piano now. She passed her grade 1 and she never learned piano. She just tried something different. So,
and that's with your sort of like following your lead, basically following your steps, because your book is actually really inspiring, and it's actually amazing how many people's lives you touch with it, even at this early stage, because the really true, authentic messages that are in that book of people's journeys, and everyone's got a different way of rebuilding their life, their confidence, their identity. But actually, those 5 pillars of your Shine method are transferable to many different settings, aren't they, really?
Yes. I mean, I've just put fun little subtitles on them, but they're all for your mental health. Like, you need connection with people. You need to work on your self-care, find your passions, embrace the journey you're with, and it's manageable. Yeah. Because it's all about being present. So, yeah.
So there's so many positives to take in the sort of part 2 of your life, being a line in the sand, having that life-changing event happen to you. There must be times though where you're a single mum, you took a leap of faith there. Again, let's not forget this part of it, which we're going to come into probably part 3 or part C, that now within this you worked in fashion for a long time.
For 21 years.
21 years. You've wrote your book. You've had your This Is Now or Never moment, your kind of sliding doors moment. You've quit your job, focused on this new chapter in your life. But that's amazing. But also, naturally, there's going to be times when you're like, oh shit, what have I done? How am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to do that? How are you dealing with the natural pressures, the apprehensions that you've got as you move into being an author, working for yourself, a mindfulness and confidence coach? How are you putting your strategies into place in part 3 or C of your life?
Well, for one of them is to embrace the unknown. To embrace it. And I believe in myself. I believe in the book. I believe in what I've gone through. And I know I can help other women or people who have low self-worth. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Yeah, my next stage is I've got some programs I've done. Of course, this is Shining, where if they want to connect with me, they get their own one-to-one coaching
Right, okay.
on there, and they get to have access to me on a group call with the other women on there. So we've got a Shining Sister community.
So it's called Shining Sister Community.
Shining Sisterhood community.
Oh, I love that.
So we're all shining a light, shine bright. So they're for like-minded women who've actually gone through it themselves. But I also give them like step-by-steps weekly, which are manageable. It's like a 3-month course.
Yeah.
And how they can get their life back on track.
So you talk about earlier on about not trusting yourself, and because of the process that you've been through, and clearly the self-doubt that whole event and change of life had happened to you. But naturally, you've rebuilt yourself, you're shining, you're confident. Next steps, if you're going to get into another relationship, how are you thinking about even starting to trust someone else?
Do you know what? It's taken me a long time. I mean, I have been dating. And that's been quite interesting. Yeah, but I look at it as a more educational thing than actual. But it's been really, really fun. But yeah, it's taken me a long time to be open for that.
Yeah.
But I know that not every man is like my ex. And I'm open to receive love now. And whoever does come into a Amelia and I's family unit has to bring something to the table, because we have built a good unit together. You know, I love my own company. I'm quite an introvert. I do love being in solitude, but I also want to share that with somebody one day. And I'm very open to that. And yeah, it'll happen when it happens.
Yeah. So do you think then, on reflection, that the process that you've been through, you know, in terms of your healing, has allowed you now to come out the other side with the frame of mind of forgiveness, forgiving yourself for the way that you maybe treated yourself, not loving yourself enough and things like that, has allowed you now to be in a position where you're available to receive love. So it's not only helping you recover, rebuild, regain confidence and heal in a personal place, but actually to allow someone come into the safe space that you've got for you and your daughter, which you must be protecting that with your life. But also you don't want to miss out on something that's amazing because you're too protective. So I think that's really an interesting and important point to how actually you don't let this not define you, but, you know, embrace in the next chapter.
And I'm not the woman I was 10 years ago. You know, I've evolved. I'm so different now. I'm so open-minded and want to, I'm open to meeting different people. I don't think I have a type anymore. I thought I used to. I don't anymore. I think it's just more authenticity and what they can bring. And I want a relationship that's inspiring. And we should be able to inspire each other. And just laugh a lot.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah, exactly. So Michelle, the book is out.
Yeah.
That's the camera. What are the next steps for you then regarding this? So we've spoken about your work as a mindfulness coach, as a confidence coach, and you putting forward your strategies to help others. But when you're thinking the plans for you, what next things are on your list in terms of achievements?
My next is to build my community, to work with women in domestic abuse or families, actually, and just to continue helping the women who just wants a new second chance in life and happiness. And that's through, like I said, my Sister Shining community, through the book, you know, one-to-one with me.
Yeah.
I think that's, for now, that is where I'm looking. But do you know what? Really, what makes my day is someone who comes to me and I've made them feel good about themselves.
I mean, the book's full of it. The book's full of success stories. It is. It's amazing. You must get such like delight and pride after reading it. And I certainly did after hearing the snippets. And it's real people with real, basically shit things happen to them. Or, you know, and it's how they kind of get the confidence to, you know, think that they're worth it, to rebuild it again. And I think because the most amazing thing about your story is it's relatable because it actually happened to you, and your proof, your evidence that, from rock bottom, you can not only climb up, you can create a whole new life that's better than the first one anyway. And when you're at your lowest points, it's a really, really hard to see that.
Yes, I mean, when I say people who love the most are the ones who get hurt the most deeper, don't they? And yeah, I'm glad that I can make somebody's day better, and my clients have proven that. I've proven it, hopefully, and people can see that. And I want my daughter to know that she is enough for herself, and for others.
Yeah, you definitely do that. And I suppose, Michelle, as a final point, I always like to wrap up these podcasts with confidence tips. So maybe when we go back now to looking back to the former Michelle, what advice would you give to the former Michelle and to other people who are lacking confidence, lacking self-worth? What are your sort of top few confidence pick-me-up tips? Like quick things you can do to make yourself feel better, reframe your thinking and put yourself in a more positive mindset.
Do more what you love. Make time for yourself. Be creative. But most of all, accept everything about yourself. Because when you accept everything about yourself, you can be true about what you do. And consistency, you would do it consistently.
Yeah.
So it gives you trust in yourself and to feel safe in doing more of it. So I definitely say that.
Yeah.
Do what you love more. Make time for yourself.
Yeah, that's a key thing, isn't it?
Make time for yourself. And it's not selfish, it's self-care.
Yeah.
And your mental well-being is so much more important than your physical, because it all starts here to know what to do next. So confidence is a massive thing for self-love, and when you gain that, you're unstoppable.
That's amazing, Michelle. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being so brave in everything that you've done and having the courage to kind of make these steps that are definitely going to inspire other people in every part of life, really. I think it's not just women really have been through similar things as you, but just generally the tips in there are across the board, not just for, women who are potentially stuck in relationships. So thank you so much.
And thank you. Very grateful for you having me.
No, it's been brilliant. Thank you, Donna. Again, we'll put some links to the book when we post this on social media. So yeah, thank you so much, darling. Thank you.
Thank you.